This is Akashvani. Time for a weekly program, Our Guest. I hand over the mic to the show host, Nitish Arora, for the same.
In our guest today, I am joined by Mr. Mayank Singh, a defense correspondent, and the topic that we are taking up today is India's defense preparedness. In the wake of recent skirmishes with our neighbor, I think this has become very important for everyone in the country to know that how prepared we are for a full-scale war. There is every likelihood of not having a war, but just in case scenario like this approaches us again, how prepared we are. Mayank Singh, welcome again to our guest, and you've been covering defense for almost 2.5 decades now. So tell us, what is the buzzword in the field now? How well we are equipped to handle our defenses just in case there is an aggression or anything is escalated, because we have openly declared that our policy, an act of terror on Indian soil, is war. So that is our strategy now. So how is this going to unfold in near future?
It's really a very important topic, and thank you for having me here. Now let's straight away come to the preparations which you said. Indian Army, Indian Air Force and Navy, which is armed forces, they have a cell which for a common man would be like, they have perspective planning, they have military operations division, they have future planning in terms of strategic planning, force planning, order of battle planning and equipment planning, depending threat perception which arises at different times. Now, having said that, there are two parts of it, which is like manpower and which is equipment profile. Manpower is changing training, which is bringing modern warfare, which is cyber warfare, which could be space warfare, which could be in terms of use of low intensity conflict or different thresholds which are there. So we keep changing our training profile to suit our manpower accordingly. Now, as far as equipment profile is concerned, depending on the threat perceptions and changing character of warfare. This is also an interesting aspect to understand. Now, as due to infusion of the modern technology, the character of warfare is changing. Having said that, our equipment profile has also been accordingly made suitable to it. Let's bring in immediately the aspect of Operation Sindoor itself. Now, the engagements were beyond visual range. What is beyond visual range? Interestingly, a military keeps its men and the equipment away from the harm's way. That is beyond visual range which has come up. So you use your drones, you use your missiles, you use your sensors, which can be said as eyes and ears. And you watch the enemy from far and then you attack the enemy as soon as it tries to create a problem for you. So Operation Sindoor, which happened, which I would not like to say as a war, because Pakistan military, which indeed is a professional military, they tried whatever they tried, but in a small area only and in a lower threshold itself.
Which also means that, as you said, that the theatre of war and actual war, the whole scenario has changed now, because now we do not indulge in ground contact level war, which was perhaps what was happening in the last century. As far as the war scenario is concerned, yes, ours was a very strategic Operation Sindoor. It is not a full-blown war, but the world is right now witnessing lots of wars and big wars at that, be it Ukraine versus Russia. Then you had this almost a full-blown war in Iran. But wherever we are looking at war nowadays, it's more of aerial things. It's more of, are we that superior? Is there an aerial dominance? Plus, number two, the defense part of it. Israel has this reputation of having an iron dome and protecting its citizens from any aerial attack. How good is our defense system? Because our land, when you compare it with Israel, fortunately, we are a big nation, very happy at that. We have our boundaries and neighborhood with lots of countries. Plus, even our seashore is such a big seashore. So we have to protect ourselves from a land incursion, from an air incursion, and from water incursion. So how good is our Iron Dome?
Interestingly, that's why we are, as you said, size of the country. It's a subcontinent. So coming to our preparations, there were two aspects in this Operation Sindoor which have stood out actually. Use of your missiles, your drone system, and also a networking software which was IACCS for Air Force and Akashvani, which also has been embedded now, which was co-joined with IACCS. Now these two networking systems, what they do is actually they create a picture in front of the operational commanders and the people who are taking part in the warfare and have been embedded for the operations. What it does is actually it brings a transparent picture of the enemy movement and their equipment if the search is on that equipment. It helps in quick decision making and also in creating defense strategy, tactics, or movement of the forces. This is exactly what happened this time. So if you see the number of deaths, which is really sad when people die, and Indian military had been able to succeed in that term, that keeping that, I think the official figures were of 5 soldiers. Civilians have also died, but they had been able to inflict greater damage on the enemy. Because of this only, the transparency of the entire theatre was very clear to India. Also, there is a aspect to it, raising the threshold. What Indian military, as soon as April 22, Pahalgam had happened, immediately they had said that it is whatever was done on 7th and 6th and 7th night, it was a reaction to that. 26 civilians were killed. So it was a response to it to destroy the terrorist infrastructure in Pakistan and Pakistan occupied.
So our was very precise, to the point, pinpoint that here we have to strike. And we tried to avoid the collateral damage.
Beautiful.
Like, we were trying to stay away from the civilian and in fact from the defense thing
also.
But when they retaliated, they almost targeted our civilian areas.
Yes.
Jammu, the town which is next to Sialkot, was heavily bombarded. Then even Srinagar was heavily bombarded. And that is one good thing about our defense preparedness, that we saved majority of our civilians from such a tirade in Punjab. They tried to attack a lot of populated areas in Punjab.
You are absolutely correct. See what happened, as I said, there was a threshold. Indian military has been precise in its communication when it said that it was an operation against to destroy the terrorist infrastructure. Then the second move came as destruction of the air defense radars and all, which is also not direct hit on the military manpower and all. It was only to neutralize the infrastructure which was being used against the Indian military. Third wave came as air operations, which they tried. Now, when that happened, the Indian military used its missiles, strategic missiles, and also, as you said, we had air defense equipments, which is S-400, which is Akash and all, multi-layer air defenses. So that was used. When provoked by the other side, we then came as a full-blown military operation, which was also to destroy the air bases, which was almost 9 air bases. And almost
minimize their striking capabilities.
Capability. It was only to bring handicap into their infrastructure. And even in that provocation also, see, leadership is good when it is calm, even in the case of crisis also. That calm had been shown by the Indian military in this regard. And it was a joint operation. What is the best part is, it was a joint operation, and we had been seeing that in communication also, because DGMOs, air operations, DG and then DGNO, naval operations, they all came together and they were talking about the operations.
The war is also on the propaganda front, because when we see whatever is coming out from Pakistan social media, I think they are telling their people that they have won this war. How good and how true is that claim by our neighbor?
You have brought out a very important aspect, that when we talk of future warfare, the war of narratives, information warfare, has become a very integral part of warfare now. And in fact, to the extent that people like Kautilya in Arthashastra and Sun Tzu, they have been talking about this warfare. Even in Russian cases also, there had been scriptures, writings which talk about this warfare, which is information warfare, warfare of communication. As you brought out, one aspect we need to understand, and Indian military understands that very well, is that Pakistan military is a professional military. And having said that, their institution of inter-services intelligence being, which is ISI, and ISPR, which is inter-services PR agency, which communicates on behalf of all the forces, they had been creating such kind of a structure since 1950s. Indian military has always following a process of ethical warfare based on the moral leanings. And Pakistan, right from 47, has created problems which were never ethical or right or wrong. But in military, as they say, I mean, there's nothing right or wrong. Only when you win the war is
everything is
right.
fair in love and war.
Exactly. What you said is right in case of specifically war in this case. And Pakistan has followed it to the hilt.
But they're being exposed worldwide because they are, whatever they are throwing at the public or international media, they are not giving any concrete proof or visual support documents. But when India came out with their press conference, they brought in everything on the table with facts and the figures and photographs and video footages.
Because of that only, that they came on the back foot. Initially, we need to understand that when information warfare comes, It is also like any other low intensity conflict warfare where the edge lies with the person who initiates the things. So they were taking initiatives that had been in a bit affecting the things in terms of narratives, in terms of perception and all. But when our operations wings were involved and they were coming out with details right to the pictures, to the coordinates, to the specific the goals which were achieved in this, that is what called it all bogey, and it had unraveled the entire perception warfare, which was Bumkum being run by the Pakistanis.
What are the takeaways from this particular skirmish which has happened, and how India is getting itself prepared for any future warfare?
Immediate thing is information warfare. We need to be proactive. We need to be planning as we plan for the military in terms of training and equipment profile. Because if we don't plan it, Pakistan may have the edge of initiatives which it was trying to do this time. So we have a great learning from that, and our institutions have changed a lot. We already had brought in the organization of Integrated Defense Staff, which was 2003 and 4. And after that, CDS was also brought in 2019. And in that regard, there are lots of organizations which have increased, which have grown, and also the organization of public relations and information warfare. Our militaries have also started integrating people and good officers, increasing the setup of information warfare and media relations also. Every military is a very scientific organization which studies everything, analyzes everything, even to the extent of what can happen when action is taken. So in this case also, Indian military was ready. And isn't it good that once an enemy starts doing something, you recalibrate yourself to get the edge over it? So that's exactly what happened. You need to understand the enemy's response, and then you change and recalibrate your responses. That's what exactly we did. For the future, there is a process of creating tri-services organization, which is already happening, which is like Armed Forces Special Operations Division. There is a Cyber Operations Division. There's a Space Warfare Division. And these are tri-services division to cater to the future requirements which may happen in future. So lots of things are happening. Lots of policy changes have also been made, which is bringing together all the men of the forces under one command. Theatre would be one of that. But already the process has started. In staff college, trainings of the men has started together, which will be called as a tri-services division. A special training division has been created. ACRs have been changed. It will be tri-services ACR now gradually, in a way that a suitable officer will be found who will be able to command the tri-services division, keeping an eye on the future only. Structural changes, policy changes, training changes.
Indian citizens are very proud of Indian Army, and they have defended the nation. What is a word of assurance by Indian Army to our citizens now at this juncture?
I often quote this example that the success of Indian Army's training has been that a soldier runs towards the harm's way when a bullet is fired on him. That's the success of training. And when you talk about flight or fight, Indian soldiers every time chooses the fight option. So that is the success which I can say in every way. Being a fortunate defense correspondent, I keep visiting lots of places which are, in terms of terrain, in terms of geography, very tough. But then the smile on their faces, the eye contacts, the way they make, the positivity on their body and the body language, you can make out that Indian military is always prepared and the men are ready to sacrifice everything.
You have been in the field, you've seen army serving and single Jawan also serving in the best possible manner. What are the expectations of army from the citizens? Say the first layer is that of citizens who are on the border. Then the second who are right in the middle of the nation, let's say in the capital. So what kind of preparedness is needed by the citizens from the army's perspective?
We as a society have to understand that our men who become soldiers, our youth, they are part of the society itself. So at the end of the day, they come back to the society, and when they see people are dedicated towards them, people give due respect to the kind of work they do, they feel motivated. And that's what the real stimulus or catalyst is towards them going towards the harm's way. So they definitely expect a responsible great nation, a responsible society, which understands, which acknowledges the kind of dues, the kind of sacrifices, the kind of aloofness they have in their due to the job requirement, due to the nation's requirement, because military is created to serve the nation. They definitely watch the society and draw motivation from them.
So the army is our strength and we are the strength of the army. On that note, Jai Hind to Indian Army, Jai Hind to every soldier who is professionally, day in and day out, is working hard to protect the nation. Jai Hind to our citizens and Jai Hind to you. Thank you so very much to be our guest today. Thank you.
Thank you for having me here.
Thank you.
You were listening to the weekly program Our Guest that is broadcast every Monday at 9:15 a.m. Don't forget to tune in next week, same day, same time and same frequency for more on Our Guest. Have a nice day.